Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to both of you about this incredible film. Maybe for people who don't know anything about it, you can just give us a brief introduction to the city and the city.
Yeah, Christos, you
Certainly.
go?
The City is a film we directed with Syllas Tzoumerkas. It's basically the story and the terrors and the perils and the life of the Jewish community in the city of Thessaloniki during the 20th century. We tell this story in a prologue, 6 chapters and 1 epilogue.
And
it's also a very, and it's a unique mixture of documentary, fiction film, and essay film in a way. So it's somewhere there, idiosyncratically.
And to play devil's advocate, you could say there are just hundreds of films and books and series and documentaries about the Second World War. But of course, there are just still so many stories that haven't been told, and particularly this very unique one, because it's, in this very unique community. So what was your motivation to go back and tell this story?
Well, one of the reasons is what you mentioned, for sure, is this idea that this, despite the whole bibliography and the filmography about World War II and the Holocaust, that this was kind of sidetracked. And there are specific reasons for that, is that it has been a taboo for decades, what happened in Thessaloniki, which also consists part of the film, because the film deals also with the aftermath of the World War II. So for us, it was also, so that was one motivation for sure. It was, it's a subject that we both dealt with before in documentaries and in theater, and we were very, intrigued to find a common space between us and work on this very difficult, let's say, genre in a way, which is the World War II film. And also to say something about our birth town. It was also for us an act of return, let's say, of return to our birth town, because we both come from there. We were born on the same year, and we met later in Athens after we have abandoned the city for 2 decades. So it's a double motion. One has to do with the history, and the other one is more personal in a way.
Yeah.
And also, it's not really about World War II. Of course, World War II is included in the film, but basically, we tell the story of this community throughout the 20th century, in the sense that we also talk about the historical forces that preceded the tragic events of the Nazi regime and the events that followed the genocide, the Holocaust. So in a sense, it covers the whole of 20th century.
And as you were mentioning at the beginning, it's kind of experimental in form, or quite kind of, free-flowing, very fluid between image and archive footage and, present day reconstructions. So where did you begin with all that? Did you start with research and then you started to fill in the blanks, or how did you put it all together?
First of all, for me, all good cinema is idiosyncratic and experimental in a way, because if you don't stretch the language in a certain way, you don't find something new. So for me, it's more of it was a given that we wanted to find something new in terms of film language, also dealing with a subject that has been dealt before many times in film. So for us, this was a kind of a core thing, that we would do a film that would research an area, a space between these different, film languages, the fiction language, the language of documentary, and the language of essay film in a way. So from the very beginning, from our very first, core idea, the day we walked together in Thessaloniki and we decided that, okay, let's do this film, we knew that we wanted to kind of stretch the film language in that area. For us, it's really vital in a way, and very, very connected with what you want to say and what you want to the audience. So this language evolved and was created in the film.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to add anything to that?
it was also a matter of telling the story of a community. In that sense, we didn't follow the rules of some more conventional dramaturgy, in the sense of following one person throughout their story or their adventure or whatever. We tried to narrate the story of a whole community. In that sense, we somehow did not deny ourselves the privilege to use any form of language in the film, be it archival material or audio materials or different kinds of shooting, different kinds of filmmaking, or playing with the rules of the cinematic language anyway and the genre. What I'm trying to say is that this hugeness of this community and this richness of this community, we wanted to express it via using all these means with no restrictions.
And also we wanted to move away a bit from what we call microhistory literature and microhistory film in a way. This is not what we wanted to do. Is, as Christos says, we wanted to put in motion historical forces and communal and the image of a community. That's why there are many moments where big numbers of people are on the same frame. That gives you a certain the flow of a community through time in a way. And also, on the other hand, we wanted very much to focus on details of this story. That became very prominent in the film as the film evolved.
I would also add that exactly because we wanted to use history as a mechanism and as a force that pushes and destroys people or communities, this multifaceted approach had to do also with this urge, our desire to present history as a mechanism and as a force that tells the story.
And what was kind of the balance as well of fact and fiction in that sense then? Because obviously you've got some facts and, you know, some of the images of what actually happened, but you've kind of hooked the sort of free-flowing narrative too, and then filled in the gaps. So what do you think the effect is of doing that, of kind of blending the two?
Well, first of all, it puts the audience in a dialogue, in a sense of also being able to grasp this how to say hard facts that we ended up with. It's mainly what is written in the film that consists very how to say solid and very hard facts of this part of history and the history of this community, and that gets in dialogue with how to say with the stories and the communal and the fictional in a way part, which is not exactly fictional. Just to give you a hint, there is nothing entirely fictional in the film.
Exactly. And also this blend of fiction with a question mark and hard facts and solid facts, like Syllas said, gave us also the opportunity to somehow narrate a space and a time that is quite slippery, if I may say so, that is not so stable, that all this exchange, all this dialogue between fiction, hard facts, archives, audio materials, we used them in order to have the spectator always on the verge or all the time not so quiet towards the film. Just to I don't know how to say that in English.
Stabilize the viewing.
Pull the carpet, destabilize or disorient them on purpose in certain points of the film. Yeah.
And what about the people that you do have in the film? Because there is a lot of, you know, people involved in every scene. There's like multiple people. So, you know, was it a casting process, or, you know, how did you bring all these people to be in your film?
Well, this film was shot in 14 days. Which is something we are very proud of, and it was one of the reasons it finally got made. It was able to get made. It's shot in 14 days. There are some of our favorite actors inside playing, who came for a day or a two days. Angeliki Papoulia, for example, Marisha Triantafylidou, amazing actors from the Greek that you know, probably from the viewers that are in contact with the Greek New Wave know them for sure. They came for a couple of days to participate in this crazy project of ours. And together, there were many people from Thessaloniki that participated in a casting process to do the large, let's say, sequences. That came and came for actually for a day, for example, to walk for kilometers for a day, just to give you a reference to a specific scene of the film. So that's how it came together. It's a very independent film. In the sense it's low budget. It was shot in just 14 days, and it was based on our desire to make it, pretty much.
Mm. And what do you hope that people take away from watching it? Because I guess with a film like this, it's not necessarily like offering any answers. It feels like this is cinema as a way of kind of revisiting or processing what's happened, rather than kind of giving any hard and fast answers about what people are supposed to think or take away from it.
Yeah, because the film is, at the end of the day, the film is about the human experience and the human nature. So there are no easy answers on this issue anyway. And we don't have them. I mean, even if we wanted, we couldn't, I think, because there are many question marks behind all this story and these historical facts that still puzzle me personally, as concerning the silence of the city towards these events, the cooperation of certain forces with the Nazi regime. There are many unanswered questions. And I guess the film's ambition is to put these questions on the table and for all of us to start reflecting upon them as a community, as a city, as a country, as a planet, obviously, because it's not a local phenomenon. The events that are narrated in the film, it's not a local phenomenon, obviously.
Mm.
And for me, the other thing is that because it's a work of art, it's not it's always the authenticity of experience, which we hope it has. It has authenticity of experience also when it comes to the period part, but also to the contemporary part, because the contemporary image and experience of Thessaloniki is also very prominent in the film. So, and sometimes contrasting, it's used in various ways throughout. So for me, the authenticity of this experience and of the geography of a city and of its vertical and horizontal, lines and cracks and how it all comes together to a certain outcome with questions. As Christos said, for me, that's the core of the film. Yeah.
And in that sense, what do you see the role of cinema? Do you think cinema can be healing? It can be cathartic, but it can also start conversations. But it can also be a warning, because you could also say some of the themes that you see in a film like this, are we seeing history start to repeat itself? Are we seeing a lot of division in communities? Are we seeing politics go in the wrong direction? So cinema in that sense can serve a lot of different roles or play a lot of different roles.
I would agree to that, as you said it.
Yeah.
It's all these things together with the pleasure of seeing a film. Mm-hmm. And of seeing the experience, the human experience expressed in a way that it's meaningful and vital, if that's the case for this film.
And also there's a kind of homeopathic function. What I'm trying to say, that in Greek, for example, pharmaki and pharmako, poison and drug, is almost the same word. In a way, in cinema, I guess one uses the poison in order to heal the consciousness or the people. I don't know. I mean, that's the romantic part, I guess, that the cinema could do for persons, for people.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, what did it mean to you for this film to be showing as part of the Biennale for this year? And can you tell us what you're going to be working on next after this film?
Christo?
It was exciting, of course. It was exciting to show this film in a festival that just started functioning again after these 2 years that felt like an eternity. It was very exciting. It was very, very well received. There was a certain tension in the cinema during the projection. It was a great experience.
And yeah, I don't know. For me, I was really happy in the sense that this is a small film. It's a film we did together during COVID. It was very, how to say, there was a lot of risk and a lot of in it in a way, and to see it, then in Encounters, where I think is the program where it really makes sense for this film to be, was really joy, and now we are ready to continue its journey, pretty much. But it's something, that as I told you, it's a film that was shot in 14 days with the support of few but very vital people from the Greek National Opera and the Homemade Films and the Thessaloniki International Film Festival and others that made it possible. So then when this comes to a premiere in Berlinale and then goes on, it's really joyful.
Mm. And could you quickly tell us, do you already have your next film lined up, or if you guys still thinking about it?
I'm completing my first feature film. It's called Silence 6 to 9.
Amazing.
It's almost finished. Yeah.
And I'm financing currently my fourth and a half film, which is it's going to be called My Soul Startled, and it's a film that's going to be shot entirely in the Dodecanese, in the islands of the Dodecanese. So it's now on the financing stage.
Amazing. Oh, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to both of you. Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And great to be able to chat to you.